An act of bioterrorism can be as basic as sending anthrax through the mail, or as complex as an E-48 particulate bomb, which releases swine brucellosis, a disease that eliminates livestock reproduction.
Before we look into the modern capabilities of bioterrorism, we must first look into what the world has done in the past. In 1346, the Tartars catapulted their plague-infected cadavers into the city of Genoa.
During World War I, Germany tried to ship horses and cattle infected with glanders into U.S. ports. Glanders is a disease primarily found in domestic animals, but can be transmitted to humans. Glanders causes pneumonia and blood infections that can eventually cause death. Shortly after 9/11, letters filled with anthrax began appearing in the mail. The FBI states that 5 Americans were killed and 17 were sickened in what became the worst biological attacks in U.S. history. After these attacks, several of America's entertainers gave a satirical response.
All right. Think of a number between 1 and 10, but don't tell me. Is it anthrax?
It's Halloween. What better time to be terrified? I mean, let's face it, anthrax and war are scary. Ooh. Hey, look at my mask. Look, it's my Halloween mask. Boo. Boo.
Throughout our investigation, we found ourselves running into questions that only an expert can answer. So, we interviewed Dr. Guttridge, a professor at Ohio State University, on how a tumor could be implemented into a group of people.
If you're thinking more like bioterrorism, it's thinking like that, where you're not really going to, let's say, inject one person at a time with a specific tumor cell, right? I think you would probably try to find a way to cause these, if you wanted to inflict a tumor on people, cancer, maybe on a wide population, right?
Yeah.
So what you could do there is you could try to figure out a way to basically mutate DNA. So I could imagine that you could probably put something in the drinking water that everybody would be drinking out of their sinks or in their fridge. And whatever that compound was, it would affect many of our stem cells, because our stem cells are the ones that are slowly dividing, and cause them to be completely altered genetically. And if our immune system was not recognizing them as a foreign cell, then those cells could kind of slip by the immune system, and they'd have so many mutations in their DNA that you can maybe get some of these stem cells to divide and become a tumor.
Because biological warfare was prohibited during the Geneva Conventions, the future of bioterrorism is not defined. To find out more, we interviewed 2 medical laboratory scientists about the difficulties of vaccinating against a possible attack.
If you're talking about diseases due to pathogens, I don't know, it seems like as soon as we figure something out, like an antibiotic towards some sort of bacteria, the next thing you know, that bacteria also mutates, and then you end up with an even bigger, more ferocious form of that bacteria.
Astonishingly, the United States government is ill-prepared for a future bioterrorist attack. We asked Dr. Guttridge how long it would take to create a drug that would treat a disease due to a bioterrorist attack.
It has to go through many channels in order to become a drug that's good enough for a clinical trial. Yeah, there are many steps along the way. That could take anywhere between, let's say, 5 years, and so on top of the other 5 years, probably 10 years if you could do it, and that would be pretty fast.
So what does the future of bioterrorism look like? We discussed the possibility of creating an incurable disease to use as a weapon.
That it would just, right, so the answer to your question is yes. I mean, you could, as a scientist in a research lab, create a pathogen, create a bacteria strain that you can easily deliver to people, either through an airborne means or through another type of vehicle that you could distribute to either specific people or more in a general population.
Now that we know how to weaponize a disease, we now must figure out if it can be mass-produced.
Because they would basically quickly characterize what's wrong in that bacteria and then be able to duplicate how that was created in their laboratory.
After discussing the possibility of weaponizing an incurable disease, we investigated the treatment or potential cure.
Incurable. We already have plenty of incurable diseases.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we won't find out.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Maybe not. Or maybe we're just not smart enough to figure it out.
In conclusion, we learned what bioterrorism is, along with its history, how to weaponize a disease, how to defend against an epidemic, and that America is not prepared for a large-scale attack.
Although the potential damage is high, the truth is, there's a low risk of a large-scale bioterrorist attack because of the possible repercussions on the attacking party.